Ever pondered if money is just a figment of our collective imagination? It's a mind-boggling question, isn't it? But let's dive right into it. We often think of money as something solid, something real, yet its value is largely based on a belief system. That's right, money only has value because we, as a society, have decided to believe it does. This idea of trust is key. We trust that the £10 note in our wallet can buy us a hearty meal or a paperback novel because everyone else trusts the same. And it's this mutual trust that keeps the financial wheels turning. Now let's take a trip down memory lane. Once upon a time, money was quite literal. We had the gold standard, where a country's currency had a value directly linked to gold. You could, in theory, exchange your banknotes for a shiny piece of this precious metal. But then, things got a bit complicated. The world decided to shift to what we now call fiat currencies. This is the fancy term for the money we use today. Fiat money is not backed by a physical commodity like gold. Instead, it gets its value from the trust and confidence we place in the government issuing it. Sounds a bit like magic, doesn't it? One moment a piece of paper is just that, paper. The next moment it's a ticket to a world of goods and services. And all because we've agreed to believe in its worth. But what happens when that trust starts to waver? When the belief system breaks down? Well, that's a story for another scene. For now, let's just marvel at the power of our collective belief. So in essence, we're all just trading pieces of paper and shiny metals because we've agreed they're worth something. Weird, right? But that's the fascinating illusion of money, the mirage that drives our world. Welcome to the monetary matrix. And remember, belief is the only real currency here. Ever wondered who decides to print money and when? Is there someone in a basement hitting Ctrl plus P all day? Well, it's not that simple, and it's certainly not as fun. The responsibility of controlling the supply of money lies with the central banks. Just like a maestro conducts an orchestra, central banks conduct the economy, ensuring it stays in harmony. You see, central banks have this power tool called quantitative easing. Sounds like a fancy skincare routine, doesn't it? But it's not. It's more of a financial facelift. When the economy looks a bit saggy, central banks buy securities, usually government bonds, from the market. This increases the money supply, lowers interest rates, and encourages borrowing and investment. It's like giving the economy a shot of adrenaline, and whoosh, off it goes. But here's where it gets tricky. This isn't a money-making free-for-all. You can't just keep printing money. Imagine if we all decided to print our own money. We'd all be billionaires, right? But so would a loaf of bread. That's right, too much money can lead to inflation. And in extreme cases, hyperinflation. It's like a party that's gone out of control. The music's too loud, the neighbors are complaining, and the pizza's run out. Not so fun now, is it? So central banks have to be careful. They're like tightrope walkers, balancing the need for economic stimulus with the risk of inflation. It's a high-stakes balancing act. Too much to one side and you've got an economy that's sluggish and slow. Too much to the other and you've got an economy that's overheated and out of control. In the end, managing money supply is like a carefully choreographed dance. It's about timing, precision, and a whole lot of strategy. So no, printing money isn't as simple as hitting Ctrl plus P. It's more like a high-stakes game of Monopoly, and we're all just trying to pass go and collect our $200. What if I told you that the whole world is in debt? Sounds absurd, doesn't it? Who do we owe? Aliens. Well, it's not as far-fetched as it might seem. You see, when we talk about national debt, we're not talking about a nation owing money to some otherworldly entity. Rather, it's more like a nation owing money to itself. And other nations too. Imagine a group of friends each borrowing from the other to pay for their individual needs. They're all in debt to each other, but they're also all creditors. The same principle applies to countries. So how does this work? Well, governments have this nifty little tool called bonds. When a government needs money, it doesn't just print more of it. Well, not always. Instead, it issues bonds. A bond is basically an IOU, a promise to pay back the money with interest at a later date. Anyone can buy these bonds. Individuals, companies, even other countries. Now you may wonder, why would anyone want to lend money to a government? Well, the answer is simple. It's usually considered a safe investment. Even if a country's economy is in the toilet, it's still expected to honor its debts. But what happens when countries borrow from other countries? That's where foreign debt comes in. When the US, for example, borrows from China by selling bonds, that's considered foreign debt. And it's not just the US, mind you. Almost every country borrows from other countries. So when we say that every country is in debt, it's not that they owe money to a single entity, but rather they owe money to a bunch of different entities, including themselves. It's a complex web of borrowing and lending, where everyone is both a debtor and a creditor. And that's the great debt deception. It's not about being in debt to some ominous, faceless entity. It's about owing and being owed, about bonds and foreign debt, about a global network of financial give and take. So next time someone tells you they're in debt, just say, "Join the club, even our country is." How about those digital coins that everyone's so crazy about these days? Are they the future or just a fad? Let's dive into the world of cryptocurrencies. They're like the new kids on the block, shaking things up and causing quite a stir. You see, the thing about cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin is that they're decentralized. That means they're not controlled by any government or central authority. Instead, they're run on a network of computers spread across the globe. It's like a worldwide game of tag where everyone's playing at the same time, but no one's in charge. Now, cryptocurrencies are a bit like the Wild West of money. They're volatile, risky, and can be hard to understand, but they also offer some intriguing possibilities. For one, they can be used to send money across borders quickly and cheaply. Imagine being able to send £100 to your mate in Australia in a matter of minutes, with just a few taps on your phone. No banks, no fees, no fuss. And then there's Bitcoin, the granddaddy of them all. It's the first cryptocurrency and still the most well-known. Bitcoin operates on a technology called blockchain, which is essentially a public ledger of all transaction data from anyone who uses Bitcoin. Transactions are added to blocks, or the links of code that make up the chain, and each transaction must be recorded on a block. It's like a giant global spreadsheet that anyone can view, but no one can tamper with. Pretty neat, right? But here's where things get really interesting. Because they're not tied to any country's economy, cryptocurrencies could potentially offer a way to protect against inflation or economic instability. It's like having a lifeboat in case the traditional monetary system hits an iceberg. So, will digital coins replace our beloved paper and metal money? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, they're certainly making waves and challenging the way we think about money. And in the world of finance, that's always a game changer. So, will digital coins replace our beloved paper and metal money? Only time will tell. The stock market, a place where fortunes are made and lost. But is it really just a glorified casino? Now, that's a question that has sparked countless debates and triggered many a furrowed brow. Let's dive in and see if we can decipher this financial dance. Picture the stock market as a colossal global marketplace. It's a hub where companies and investors come together, exchanging shares of publicly traded companies. It's not some shadowy gambling den, but a vital component of our economy. It provides companies with access to capital, and it gives you, me, and everyone else a chance to invest in these companies and potentially share in their profits. Now let's break down the concept of shares. When you buy a share, you're essentially buying a tiny slice of a company. You become a shareholder, a part owner of the business. It's like buying a piece of a giant financial pie. The more slices you have, the bigger your piece of the pie. But what's the point of owning this metaphorical pie slice, you might ask? Well, as a shareholder, you're entitled to a portion of the company's profits, usually paid out as dividends. It's like your slice of pie periodically sprouting more delicious crumbs. But as with any dance, there are steps and missteps. The stock market can be a risky business. Prices fluctuate, and there's always the chance you could lose what you've invested. That's why it's essential to do your homework, understand what you're investing in, and not simply follow the crowd. The stock market isn't for the faint-hearted. It's a place of high highs, low lows, and everything in between. It's a dance that requires patience, discipline, and a good understanding of the rhythm. But remember, just as in a dance, it's not about getting every step right. It's about enjoying the music, learning from the missteps, and getting back up when you stumble. So the stock market isn't a casino, but it sure can feel like one. It's a dance floor where the music never stops, and the dancers are always on their toes. So lace up your dancing shoes and let's keep twirling through this financial waltz. So what's next for money? Will we ditch it for bartering or perhaps start trading in alien currency? In this rapidly evolving world, the future of money is a topic that has sparked both intrigue and anticipation. As we transition further into the digital age, the way we handle, manage, and think about money is set to change drastically. Imagine a world where cash is a thing of the past, replaced by a completely digital landscape. This concept may seem far-fetched, but with the rise of digital currencies, we may not be as far from a cashless society as we think. The convenience, speed, and security of digital transactions make them an attractive alternative to traditional cash. Yet, as we tiptoe into this brave new world, we must also grapple with the challenges it presents. Cybersecurity, for instance, becomes paramount, as does the need for universal access to digital infrastructure. Now let's shift gears and talk about the potential changes in the global economy. As emerging markets continue to grow, the global financial landscape is expected to shift. These changes could bring about a redistribution of economic power, potentially altering the dynamics of international trade. Let's not forget about digital currencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and others that are making waves in the financial world. These cryptocurrencies are not just alternatives to traditional currencies, but they also bring with them the potential for decentralization, offering a level of financial autonomy that has been elusive so far. Then there's the topic of artificial intelligence and machine learning. As these technologies continue to advance, they could transform the way we manage and invest our money, automating processes and making them more efficient. But amidst all these potential changes, it's important to remember that the essence of money remains the same. Money, in whatever form it takes, is essentially a medium of exchange, a unit of account, and a store of value. Whatever happens, one thing's for sure: money makes our world go round, even if it's just in our heads. Alright, let's recap this whirlwind journey through the world of money and finance. We've traversed the mirage of money, where we learned that cash is just an illusion of value. We've danced at the printing press Fiesta, where governments churn out money like there's no tomorrow. Then we dove headfirst into the great debt deception, exposing the world's love-hate relationship with borrowing. We felt the heat of the cryptocurrency craze, where digital coins are the new kids on the financial block. We've done the stock market dance, maneuvering through the highs and lows of investing. And we've peeked into money's future, where the rules of finance are being rewritten every single day. Each chapter of our journey has shown us that the world of money and finance is a complex, ever-changing, and downright bizarre spectacle. So there you have it, the truth about money and the world financial system. Mind-boggling, isn't it?